Pitching is not an innate skill. Some people come by it much more naturally than others. But I find that across the board, often writers have a difficult time pitching a story simply because writers have invested so much time in a full-length feature script or a full-length pilot. It's difficult for them to boil that down to its core components and really present that information in a way that the suits can understand the story and can pick up the core components of a pitch that they really need in order to repeat the story, taking it upstairs to the next guy who takes it upstairs to the next guy who takes it upstairs to the next guy until you end up in a studio president's office giving the pitch. And that's the person who can either say, yeah, we're going to buy this, or no, we're not. You've got to be able to deliver that pitch over and over again and deliver it accurately and deliver it well. And that's talking about a studio pitch. There are other kinds of pitches, which are the elevator pitch, where you just run into somebody. Elevator comes from the idea that you ran into them on an elevator and you've got 3 floors before they get off. You'd better deliver that story fast. And they say, what's your story about? And you drop essentially a log line on them. And if they appear interested, then maybe you give them one big cinematic moment and this cool thing happens, which lets them get a sense of the movie tonally and visually. There are the just sort of semi-pitches, which are you're at lunch and you're talking and you give somebody sort of the very short condensed version. There's just log lining, which also appears to be quite often is something that people don't quite have down yet, perhaps because of not enough practice, or perhaps because they simply don't understand the components that studio people need to get, yes, this is a concept which is going to fly, which is going to be a movie. Instead, I'll see people sort of flailing around or giving too much information up front and not enough sort of core components about what's in the story. This is the title, this is the genre, this is my protagonist, this is what my protagonist has got to do, this is the opposition to this, these are the stakes if the stakes are in play. These are elements which need to be part of that story logline. And if they're not there, or if they're not concrete enough to translate to somebody actually really knowing what a story is about, the pitch isn't going to go anyplace. There's a lot of pitch stuff happening at festivals and at conferences these days, where there's this huge audience and you're standing in front of the audience and there's a panel of official looking people. And you stand up in front of all these people and you deliver a pitch, and then they ask you questions or they tell you, well, there should be this other thing leading in. These are very artificial environments. These do not mimic what an actual studio pitch is about. They don't even resemble just standing on, the smoker's patio at a party and running into someone from a studio who says, hey, what's your story about? And you tell them. I want to address in this course really the key components about what you need to know and what you need to deliver in a pitch, so that you know and are prepared before you walk into a studio meeting, or when you meet that person, on the patio behind the Driscoll, or when you're in an elevator or a grocery store line. You know what to say, and you know the elements that need to be there in order to present your project well, present yourself well, and convince people that, yeah, this is a story they want to hear more about, this is a script they want to read, this is a meeting they want to take. That's what this pitch course is about, and I hope that you will join me and leave questions and comments after you've viewed the course, and I look forward to reading them.